Season 9, Episode 27, 375, Decoded Podcast. This is me. I'm rolling. There's video. You can see me.
Mm,
There almost wasn't video of me.
almost.
I don't know. If you hadn't said anything, I would have looked at the screen. I would have been like, oh, my camera's off. I'll turn it on. But, I mean, I don't know about you, but if we came here on a Saturday morning and for some reason your video wasn't working and you said to me, should we still do the podcast? I'd say, sure, yeah, let's go. We're just having our chat. It's great to see you. But hey, we could do like old school podcasting where you have audio and no video.
Except on video. Video with audio only.
That, I got to tell you, bro, that is something that pisses me off on YouTube when I go to watch something, but it's only audio. And I'm like, why? Then why'd you put it here?
Got you.
You know, it's like, no, I want to see it. But I get that sometimes YouTube's a great place to dump your audio / video. It's a great place. It's a great housing system. So, but I have run into what I think is going to be a video. It's only audio, and then on the screen they have like they have like an audio meter, so when somebody talks you can see the audio go up and down. I don't know what that's called. They've got the video of the audio.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Just the wavelength. It's just
Thank
that wavelength. Yeah.
Or it's colors that like do their thing as people talk. And
Visualizers. I think they're called
Thank-
visualizers.
thank you, visualizers.
hmm
That's not us though. Not today.
No. I remember I was trying. I didn't really lock it, but back in chasing squirrels days, I was trying to figure out how to dump my audio onto YouTube. So it was that I had that visualizer option. I think when I was trying to put it through Anchor, and Anchor let you do that, and then automatically put one of those visualizers on there. So
Cool.
I was I dipped into that for a little while.
Hey, a big good morning to Gary. Thanks for joining us, Gary.
See, Chuck Norris is dead.
You know,
Did that affect you at all? Did you have a moment?
I had a moment, and I have to say, there have been many celebrities who have passed away where I don't have a moment. I'm just like, you know what? They're gone. I'm blessed that the people I care about the most are still here, because that's going to hurt me more than a celebrity. I'm not trying to be like, I get for some people there's attachment. Like I tell you right now, when members of the Seinfeld cast start to pass away, I'll feel that, because that show's brought me so much joy. There's been many of conversations I have with close friends that watched it as well. There's jokes, inside jokes. I'll feel it in that, oh man, that sucks that Kramer's gone or whatever. But at the end of the day, they're not my friggin' family, right? There's not a real solid connection for me. But when Chuck Norris, when I saw it on the news, I don't know why. I felt this instinct to go right to Facebook, and I did. And one of my buddies from back in the day, high school friend, he already had posted what I knew was going to get posted. Chuck Norris isn't really dead. We're all dead. Like, it's the opposite, right? Because everything Chuck Norris does is gold. Everything he touches is gold. So my buddy was like, Chuck Norris isn't dead. We're the ones who are dead, and he's still living. We just have to live with that idea. And I was like, yeah, it fits. So Chuck Norris, yeah, craziness.
We were driving, and Karen said it to me. She's like, "Oh, we were partway to Peterborough yesterday," and she mentioned it. She was doing her feeds as we're driving, and I just sort of offhandedly said, "Yeah, but even if he's dead, he's not dead."
There you
And
go.
she kind of looked at me. She's like, "What?" I'm like, "It was a thing. It was a thing talking about how how Chuck Norris is. It was a few years back. I forget half of those jokes, but I felt like that was the appropriate response. Just like he's so tough that that's just he's not. He's both. It's his Schrodinger's cat, Chuck Norris style. I had seen a few posts. I'd seen a few posts recently that he wasn't doing well. Something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was something. I saw something that he wasn't doing well. I forget. I forget what was mentioned. So, yep, he's one of those 80s, one of those 1980s action stars that I really think I didn't. I never. I will say I never had a full appreciation for him. I think he came across my radar as as someone who fought Bruce Lee, who was a fascination of mine in high school, late high school days. And then I forget where else did he come into? Oh, I remember recently he was a spokesperson for that boxing toy. You see that one? It's like a head. There's a head strap, and there's like this arm, and there's a ball on it, and you have to kind of punch, 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 and it was like a network toy. So you're trying to get as many as you can, and so that you could see on the TV like there are 15 punches to sort of keep this ball moving. Basically, it was like a coordination boxing toy. I haven't seen those posts come up on socials in a while, but there are all these celebrities that were promoting it as like the next fun kind of like toy. Yeah, you never saw those ones?
It doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called. I want to call it was like called Boxer or Boxy or something like that. And literally imagine like a forehead strap with a kind of like a flexible rod coming off of it with the ball hanging from a string, and it's like you turned yourself into a ping pong pad. You know, remember the whap whap whap, the little paddle with the elastic band and the ball on the end? And I could never do that. I was never able to do that toy, but that's it. Except it just sits on your head. So that's the extent of my Chuck Norris experience. We touched a little bit on coming out of March break and kind of getting stuff done. I was not feeling like I wanted to get any stuff done over this break. I didn't have that compulsion to make sure I get stuff done. And like you had mentioned, how stuff on the list, because of stuff that made it to some list at some point, got done, not because it was on a list, but because of your routine. And I think this past week, I did let go of a lot of routines. You know what? What it really reminds me of is that even when you think you've locked a routine, all that means is that it's made it in. It doesn't mean it's going to stay. The door doesn't lock behind it. It's kind of a funny thing, the actual energy that it takes to maintain the rules of the routine. I think you can accept the routine. That might be one of the phases there. You accept that just whatever that new normal would be, getting up at a different time, eating a different food. But then the work around maintaining that routine sometimes stuns me. And I kind of go, damn, it's not about, you think you had it just by saying, sure, you want to eat more vegetables. But now you got to go through the friggin', damn it, you make sure you buy the damn vegetables. And I feel like this week was kind of an exercise in that. I know all the routine, that list that inevitably has to kick back in on Monday. But it's funny, the I get swept up in the all or nothing mindset, so that I too sometimes get surprised. I get surprised when I do get some stuff done that I thought would take more effort, and then I'm also not surprised when I don't get to it because I'm just not tracking it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a funny little mind game. Um, I will say I've really enjoyed being off my routines this past week. Uh, and it's a first. It's a first in many ways that I think it was one day this week. Like I generally don't get this sensation of holy crap, like where did the time go? But I had that very specifically this past week, and I don't know why. I don't know why exactly. I don't experience that because I notice everyone around me experiencing that, where they're just like, "Where did the summer go? Where did the week?" I'm like, you know where it went. You right? You know where you were. You know what you were doing. You know what you're getting done each day. And I get that that's not exactly what they're saying. They're not like, "Oh, where I lost my list." It's this morning that the time has already passed. I will say that this past week, I've enjoyed every single day and doing the things that I've done every single day. And to arrive now on this Saturday, which as I was sitting there last night, I'm like, tomorrow's no longer a holiday. Saturday is no longer part of the actual break because Saturday and Sunday are given. It was the Monday to Friday that was the extra time off. Um, but I did have several moments. As soon as Wednesday hit, I was like, wow, I only have 2 more days off. I only have 2 more days away. Now that didn't light me up into action at all. I had a moment. It was fascinating for me to notice that because most times, almost I would say more frequently than not, summer, Christmas, whatever, during the break times, I don't have a moment where I'm like, I feel like I'm chasing the clock. It's just I just kind of stay present and just do stuff that I want to do. How about you? Did you have any sense this past week like you were running out of time on the holiday?
Like a little bit. There there were things I had to do during the week that I didn't want to do. And so I feel like they get in the way of me enjoying my nothing because that's what I wanted. I wanted nothing. And things got in the way. But having said that, I still was quite aware that I don't have to wake up and go to work tomorrow. I don't have to do any work tomorrow if I don't want to. So that helped. At the end of the day, I knew that I wanted to make sure that I enjoyed my week, whatever it is that looked like. I wanted to savor this time away and this break in routine because I didn't want to break my routine either, but I ended up going to bed later every night than I wanted to.
Mm,
Even waking up a little bit later than I normally would in the morning, to the bunny's dismay, come downstairs and he's just eyeballing me like if he had the potential to, he'd kill me because I'm late feeding him. You know what I mean? Um, but I wanted this week to, all I wanted from this week was just for me to be able to do what I wanted when I wanted. So if I wanted to nap, I just go nap. And if I wanted to go get some food, whatever that food is, I just go and do it. There was like, it's hard for me to explain to you. I felt I purposely set it up so I'd feel loose and not constrained.
mm,
And the only things that were constraining, if I let them, were the things I had to do for the family. Like if I needed to drive my one son somewhere, um, or go pick something up for the family that like was a non-negotiable, stuff like that. But I did come into the week with the idea that this week is going to be what I make it, and I want to feel relaxed, even if I'm tired. I want to feel relaxed. So I've watched a lot of television. Um, there have been times where I've kind of looked over the laptop and thought I could work on that right now, and been like, no, I'm not going to work on that right now. And it's not procrastination. It's um, it's an intentional decision to not do that at this time. Not, "Oh, I want to, but, let me watch one more episode." No. It's like, "Nope, I don't wanna do that, and I'm not doing that. I want to do this and I want to give my attention to this. I'm happy. We have to go back to work on Monday. That's a reality. And I know, once I flip back into that routine, it's good. I'll go with that, it'll flow. But until then, it's not flowing because it doesn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I let my just same actually, you know what? I don't think no, I don't think I didn't have a moment where I thought I wanted to do schoolwork. That's interesting now. So I didn't have the actually, let me back this up. One of the rules that I've tried to kind of shift some culture in the house is that I told the kids, put your backpacks up in your room, because normally we have a landing spot right down in the main, like in our dining room. I'll keep my work bag there, and Karen keeps her work bag there, and the kids have their backpacks hanging on these hooks by the stairs. On the Friday, I just said, get them out of here, go put them in your rooms, go put them in the closet, put them away for the week, so that you're not encountering them along the way. I want you to have some intention around going to look for them if you did have work to do. So I do use my work bag for, we had rehearsals this week for the play that the play I'm directing. So I did have to use the bag. And I did, I guess, have a small moment just because it is so clearly connected with my work that as I took it out, I was sort of, oh yeah, you have a job. You actually have a job. You're going back to a job. So there was like a small reminder there, but it wasn't enough to make me think, okay, crack open, like check online, connect with the board portal. And back in October, I removed the email, my board email from my phone. So I actually have to be at my computer to check my board email. So I've slowly done a little bit of separation of home and state, if you will. But I didn't have, I know you mentioned, I think in Apollo, that I think you, because you said the e-learning course, there was something you were checking. But so your mentioning of doing a little bit of schoolwork actually in me created a bit of a little reactivity. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. A little snark as I was listening to the Polo. So I haven't gone in and checked anything. I'll go, I know, we were talking about routines. I know that Monday morning, up at 5 in front of the computer by 5:30 a.m., I'll start mapping out the next things I have to map out. Funny little bit of mind games, though.
For sure. Funny little mind games.
Funny little mind games.
I told you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to pivot. I was going to pivot, but are you going? You want to stick on this for a sec? We're going to say.
I was just going to say, I told you and I told Gary that I had created a list of things that things I could do if I wanted to do, and they need to be done at some point. I was just kind of like, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, grab the pen, grab the paper, just start writing everything that's on your mind, then let it go. And one of those things was something in my e-learn, but when I went to do it, it was already done because of the automaticity of how I operate during the week, which is hilarious because I would love to take apart my thinking of why my mind needed to get it out of my mind, even though it was already done and out of my mind. Who knows? Who cares? It was a beauty surprise when I crack it open. I go to it and I'm like, oh, well, look at that. It's already done. And then close the computer and get back to doing more leisurely activities that I prefer. That was cool.
I have had that happen, and it kind of pisses me off. Well, no, here's it. So it is so funny. We were just, where was I talking about something similar, about this idea that you can find, you find $5 or you find a $10 bill in your pocket. And you're sort of thinking, it's here's the two sides out of it. You find that, and then you're feeling kind of stoked that you found some money. But I've also started to like overanalyze that and realize, okay, you're feeling good about that, but you lost in the first place. You didn't even know. Like it's like I'm like, Clough, start living your life right here. You lost $10 and you didn't even track it. Like, one hand, like how much privilege you got that you can just walk away from $10 to be that happy about finding $10. Um, and then I think, okay, so there's that part that like you lost in the first place, you idiot. So you can only take your joy, but really, is this how you want to live your joy, by losing things and finding things? We had another moment like that. I had another moment like that. So this past week we booked a bunch of stuff for our family vacation, which included paying for our flights. So we had to book the flights. So we've got like 90% of this as far as the checklist goes, 90% of the checklist. And because Karen and I, we share credit card, and a lot of stuff go out of the credit card. It's a credit card that gives us travel points. So after we've, put in all the information about getting the flights and everything, there's a dollar amount that shows on the screen, and then that dollar amount has a kind of like a gift voucher embedded in it, and then separate from the gift voucher is the points, and all the points you accumulate from doing purchases. So the amount that we were left with to have to pay, we put the points in and it knocked that in half. So we could very clearly see what the relationship was between points and cash. And we had this moment, both of us, like, whoa, that's awesome. Look at that. And then I had this sort of come up its moment. I'm like, but you spent so much money to get that discount. And that's often these sort of like these affinity cards. It's the funny bait and switch. And then you go into your mindset, you kind of unpack that a little bit. And I said, but if we're going to be paying for things anyways, then why not get some points for it, which I think is a fairly typical mindset for people. But then I got a second layer to it. I'm like, but how much of that spending did you amplify or do more of, and then justify because you're going to get points for it? Because it is not the same return. Like, there's definitely, little extras and silly things that I bought for myself, which it is a current fascination for me. The ease with which I just will sort of spend without paying attention to the why, the impulsivity. Another podcast, another time. But this idea that because the points are there, and I had this sort of like vague kind of goal that at some point those points will I'll be able to justify my spending patterns right now, because I'm going to be able to apply those points for our travel. You start to realize it's overspending. Like I'm still overspending. Like I could have had more cash. I could have saved some cash, and the actual savings would be more valuable to me than this new thing that I bought so that I got points. Like, it's just that one-off kind of mindset. You're already having things done on the list. My path to this kind of thinking is a lack of appreciation of actually completing things in the right time, and how routines can sometimes make you blind to being able to appreciate the small gains. I think in general, the routines make you appreciate the long gains, but they sometimes make invisible the smaller individual decisions. And that's actually the essence of a routine, is that you have enough small little things happening that you don't. Routines are by nature. To call them a routine means that you're not having to sort of enforce or apply cognitive load to them. That's what makes a routine a routine. It almost like you would say, I just seem to make the decision on its own. But for me, for me to sort of not notice that I'm missing that $10, or for you to not notice that you've actually completed a task on a list, strikes me as as a really interesting blind spot. Your particular version has happened to me a couple times when completing IEPs, and how you sort of, there's so many possible systems that you can use in order to manage the logistics of doing IEP work, from paper checklists to digital things to timelines and deadlines in your calendar, and figuring out a harmonious system that you will hold to because you know it's the most efficient version for you. I find I'm always chasing that dragon. There have been many times where, for for many reasons, that I go back in to do something in an IEP. I'm like, oh crap, I've already done that. And it fell off the table. Like in the pursuit of getting the work done, I've somehow lost that little $10 moment. And then I find it afterwards that it's done and I get pissed off, because the time that I said to myself to sit down to account to actually get that work done, I thought to myself, I've just wasted 5-10 minutes setting myself up to do work that I've already done. So I like this little philosophical rant that I've had, because even in the moment of joy that I've already completed that item, I still get pissed off at myself that somehow I couldn't make it a complete experience when I did it. I only somehow get some relief or some enjoyment when, literally, the perfect example is finding that $10 again. I really would rather not lose the $10 in the first place. Like, if given the choice, I would rather not lose that $10 just so that I can feel the joy of finding it later. Come on. Friggin' chasing squirrel mindset.
I completely understand. I get that. But I also know in this game of life, it's written in the script that $10 will be lost here, there, over here. It will be lost. And so, and then it's built into life that you'll find it. You'll be like, oh, the joy you feel when you find that $10. Can I share with you some joy I experienced yesterday?
Of course.
Okay. So Instagram, I spend a lot of time on Instagram. And yeah, I spend a lot of time on Instagram. It brings me some joy in terms of like finding things that make me laugh and educating me on, eating better and exercising better. There's a lot going on there. So one of the things that's caught my eye is this I want to call it's a Middle Eastern bakery, and they've got several locations in Toronto, and there's one in London. And just the desserts that they constantly show on their page are what I would call desirable. Oh, this is all based on my perspective. Desirable Middle Eastern desserts that um, I've only gotten a few times in my life. So it's one of those things where you're a little kid and my dad would bring home Middle Eastern treats. And there are way more Middle Eastern type bakeries now than there ever were when I was a kid. When I was a kid, there was like two places. And if you really wanted the good stuff, you'd drive to Montreal, because Montreal had like 3 or 4 amazing places. My parents weren't going to do that. My parents weren't like you and I, where they'd go somewhere and they'd research the burger places or the donut places. That wasn't their thing. And maybe that kind of shit didn't exist the way it does now. But
I think that's partially that.
okay. All that to say, this place and their quick videos and reels and stuff just caught my eye, caught my taste buds, caught a little piece of little role in psychology. Okay. So yesterday, my oldest and I went to Toronto. And on the way to Toronto, I said to him, we are stopping at at this bakery because it's on the way. And come hell or high water, I I need to I need to go in there and we're buying something. And my son is like, "What, Dad? Tell me more." I'm like, "Dude, the the desserts that they have in there are like the Super Bowl of Middle Eastern desserts for me." I'm like, "They have the good stuff. They don't have um their countertop is not 90% of the undesirable, in my opinion, undesirable desserts and 10% desirable." I'm like, it's like 90% desirable, 10% undesirable. So
Right.
my kid's laughing at me, right? Because he's like, "Dad," just shaking his head or whatever. I said, "We're going." So anyway, we get there, we pull into this neighborhood, and my son is like, we're gonna die." Like, he's like, "We're not making it out of this neighborhood. Look at this place." I'm like, "Would you stop and breathe for a second? And remember, we're Arab. Like, these are our people. So just," he's like, "They're not our people." And if there was the game within the game, he's like, "I'm not Arab. I don't know anything." Shut up. Go into the place and keep your mouth shut and let me do all the negotiation, whatever. We walk into this place. Dude, I walked in and the smell alone knocked me back to like 1985. I was like,
Mm.
"Whoa." And then when it was my turn, there's a line. This place is always busy. Like Instagram shows it's always busy, but I went there in real life and I was like, "Whoa, there's people everywhere." Get in line, get to the front, and order like a kid in a candy store. Like I felt like I needed to be, extra quiet so that my mom and my dad wouldn't hear me ordering all the expensive desserts. Like that's how I felt. I felt like a kid again. So I ordered all these desserts. I paid for it. We get in the car, and my kid is like, "How was that for you?" I'm like, "I'm beaming." He goes, "I can tell. Like, I haven't seen you this happy in a long time. What are you so happy for?" And I'm like, "You don't understand." So I broke it down for him. And I tried to take him back to the 80s with me, but it never works. It never works. Anyway, all that to say, I had this wicked moment of a positive little role in psychology moment where I finally found like the holy grail of the Middle Eastern desserts that I've tried along the way. But because my parents didn't spend a lot of money on stuff like that, my mom would make stuff, but the stuff my mom made, it's like that's not the good stuff. It's like it's tasty. It made them feel good, which is great. But for me, it's like, no, I want that, that, and that. And there's some new stuff, right? Like there's like the Dubai chocolate type stuff, and I made sure to get some of that. So in my fridge right now is like a nice sample of different Middle Eastern desserts that I'm hoping my family and I will enjoy later today. Little bits of everything. But I said to my kid, this totally took me, this was my Back to the Future moment. I didn't get into a DeLorean. I walked into a Middle Eastern bakery, and the smell hit the gas and threw me right back to those days. And then coming out of the place, I felt like I was carrying gold in the trunk. I brought a cooler, like it was I made sure it was all taken care of and protected. So hopefully it tastes good, but little role in psychology was in full effect yesterday afternoon in Toronto, Mississauga actually. They have everything. You know how it is. You live there. There are rogues everywhere. The place that we went to looked seedy, felt seedy, but I was like, we're good. And here's the funny thing. You feel that way, but when you look in the parking lot, all you see are like really high-end expensive cars. I felt a vibe of the people in there that were my age were probably knocked back to their childhood. That's kind of what I
Yeah.
felt like. Like nobody in there was younger than like late 30s. Nobody. When I was in there, and I was in there for a good 15 minutes, observing, smelling, waiting, ordering, purchasing. They were all my age. And they didn't buy like a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They were leaving with like trays. So maybe they called ahead and ordered stuff. I don't know. But this place was, I'd love to see in the back, who is the grandma cooking this, and is she ever allowed to leave? Because they were just pumping this stuff out.
I
Pumping
like
this
that.
stuff out. Yeah. I wanted to share. It was a good time. And I was with my kid, so that was even better for me, for him to get a vibe.
So what's like a top three dessert then that just kind of makes you trip back? Like what's a thing that, memory. I guess my two things, because there's stuff too that I remember eating as a kid coming from like my Polish side that I've retried again. I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't do it for me anymore. I recently had some candies again that I can remember my grandmother used to always have. And the flavor right away brought me back to um, some of the treats that my grandparents would push my way. I know that uh, my grandmother was big on making strudel,
Oh, that would have
and
been awesome.
and yeah, and I don't know if the version she made was particularly. I think it was a German version that she would make, not a Polish. Uh, and I have it here and there, and I get this kind of craving for it. That one can be a hit or miss. Um, so yeah, so when you do you have one that you, when you are in a Middle Eastern space, that you're like, it catches your eye, and then have you gotten it and you're like, yeah, it just catches my eye, it doesn't do it for me anymore, but for some reason you just can't get off the list, like it stays there on the list.
So, have you ever heard of Knefe?
um I want to, is this a some sort of a phyllo pastry thing, or is it
It's a
not?
no, it's not phyllo pastry. It's like it looks like angel hair pasta.
Oh, I have had this. Did we have this when we went to the Persian restaurant? Did we have a version of that
Yes,
when we went?
yes, we did. The Turkish place, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they had it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is like, for me
Is
as
it pasta though, or is it?
it's
Is
not
it?
pasta. No,
It's.
it's
I thought it
dough
was
meat.
like. Isn't it like thin, like angel hair phyllo pastry? I thought.
I don't
Anyways, I
think
don't
it's
know.
phyllo
I don't know,
pastry.
but I'm in the zone. Walk me
Okay.
through it.
I don't think it's phyllo pastry technically. I mean, I could be 100% wrong, but I just don't it, that's not sitting well with me.
Gotcha.
But the cost of making it, there's a lot of cheese that goes into it, and the cheese isn't cheap, and it's not the easiest thing to make. So for me, that is like when I see it somewhere, I try to get it so I can taste it. Now that place that we went to made it pretty good. It was pretty good. Um, but there have been some in Ottawa. There's a bakery near my mom's house that makes it really good, and it's expensive. You don't get, if you want a decent portion for a family of four, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And so what I do when I'm in Ottawa is I just get a couple of pieces, and whoever wants, we can just share it. If somebody wanted their own like nice big slice, not a problem. We have the money. It's just it's not cheap. And my mom never made it that I can recall, and my parents never bought it. Probably because it wasn't as common, and if it was around, it was probably really expensive. So it just didn't happen. That gets me every time. You want to lure me into the back of a van and hurt me or hold me for hostage? You do it with Knefe. You just open the back door. You're like, yo, kid, come
Mm.
here. And I'm like, I'm in. Right. Hello, stranger. Yeah, I'll have some of that. That's how you drag me in there. So when I see that, I'm just like, I'm done. Take my money. Um, That's a big one for me because when I go, and that's the first thing that goes. So the last time I was at my mom's house, I said, "What time does that bakery open?" She's like 9 a.m. I'm like, "Okay, I'll be driving away from the house at 8:55 a.m." because she goes, "If you sleep in, you go there at noon, it's all gone." Because they make a couple of batches. They're not like this place in Mississauga where they're literally making batches every couple of hours and throwing it out there. They make 2 batches, and when it's gone, it's gone. And it
Mm,
and some Middle Eastern people like to eat it. I like to eat it on its own on a plate with some extra sugar syrup on top. Other people like to eat it as a sandwich. So in Ottawa, when I go to get it, they're like, "Do you want it in the bread?" I'm like, "No." And then they kind of look at you funny. I'm like, "Don't look at me like that. I don't want to eat it as a sandwich." But some people do. So they cut the slice of cheese and the pastry on top, throw it in a bun, put a little bit of more sauce on it, and give it to you, and you eat it for breakfast. So that's the other thing too. It's like I've never been to a place where I've seen it in abundance. In abundance. Like when we were leaving, a new tray came out, and it was like, but there's still, a quarter of a tray left, and they're like, "Oh, we're ready because that quarter's not going to last long. We'll just throw in the new tray." And I'm like, there's something about it. There's something about that dessert and seeing so much of it that makes me feel like it's just amazing to me because I've never seen it like that before. I've always seen it scarcity. Like when
mm.
I'm in Ottawa, dude, I'm a middle-aged man and I'm like getting in the car to go to a bakery to get a slice of cheese and pastry because I know if I wait an hour, it's all gone. And everybody's thinking the same thing. So that is the one. That is the one. And they make baklava using that pastry that they have on top of the knafe, and they make like little nests with nuts in them. That's my favorite one of all of them. Again, see this, like there's 10% of all that dessert that hits hard for me. Makes me feel great, tastes great. It's like my favorite. But my parents never got it, probably because it was expensive and just scarce. There wasn't a lot of that, but there's always a lot of other things. So my dad would come home with like a box of pastries. I dive in there because out of the 12 pastries, there might be 2 of the high end stuff. So I'd literally grab the one and be like that little guy from Lord of the Rings. You get the ring and it turns you into
My
evil.
precious.
Yeah, I've got the ring on and it's mine. And if you try to take it from me, I'll kill you. And then to be fair to the rest of the family, I wouldn't eat any of the other ones. As like I had the one I wanted. I'm not, you guys can fight over the rest.
Mm,
Now, right now, I have a job, I have a life. I can go buy 12 of my favorite ones. I can do that. And I do that. And that's my kids laugh at me because they're like, "That's your flex, dad. That's your that's your poverty self telling yourself you've made it in life." I'm like, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it, little role in psychology. It's not all the bad stuff that happened to me in life. It's some of the good stuff too. So
right.
yeah. Anyway, thanks for
Good.
listening. It
No,
was great to be there.
those childhood desserts.
Childhood deserves just childhood living. It's funny how
Yeah.
sometimes, I don't know about you, I'll get into a situation and I have to remind myself I'm an adult. I have to remind myself I can do what I want to do. I have to remind myself of that. That's how strong whatever the opposite of that is, to live by the way you were raised and operate that way.
Hmm.
Like, oh shit, I'm an adult. I have a friggin' job. You know what I mean? Like I have money. I'm an adult. I'm allowed to do things.
That's funny to have that realization. That is funny.
Does that ever happen to you or no? You just you just live how you live. Like
No, I think it comes up. it kind of peaks up every once in a while, I think, in two forms. One, if I'm kind of hemming and hawing about a decision over something, like I don't have anything specific that comes to mind, but the essence of it would be that I'm about to attribute the decision making process to somebody else's behavior. So I'm deciding a thing because of how someone else is operating. And then I kind of get this really empowering disconnect. I'm like, no, you can make this decision. You don't have to check in with anybody. So there's that. And that moment of reminding unnecessarily, but reminding myself that I'm in my 50s, and there doesn't have to be this there doesn't always have to be accountability to the other. I can just make this decision and make it happen. I think the second space that it pops up in is sometimes, I think, in discussion around it's a similar kind of comparison, either to the way students are operating or the way my own children are operating. And I noticed that I may have equalized our accountability in a moment a little bit too much. I need to actually remind myself that I'm the adult and they're the kid, and they don't have automatic rights to certain resources, outcomes, whatever. And just because, let's say, I'm doing it doesn't automatically mean that the kid gets to do it too. Probably the easier way to look at this, for me at least, to explain it, is just from the point of view of being, um, just because I decide I want to go out and get 10 p.m. pizza, I don't have to get it for my kids too. And it's just a really simple example. Or I'm out and I'm grabbing something to eat. I don't have to call home and say, "Hey, does anybody want me to bring something home?" and then go through the whole rigmarole. I can just eat. I can just do that, right? Um, it brings me back to, there was a moment, I forget this, but you and I were talking about dad tax at some point, and wherever I went to pick food up, I decided that I wanted. Oh, it was a Wendy's one time. Uh, I went through the drive-through, so everyone got what they ordered. Right? They got. I brought home what they ordered, but I thought to myself, you know what? For the drive home, I want some chicken tenders. So I'm eating the chicken tenders in the car as I'm driving home, and I've got like a full meal just steaming on the seat beside me, getting it home for the fam. We get home and I pass off. Often the process is someone meets me at the door, I kind of pass stuff off, and they kind of will go set it up. And as I'm getting my shoes off or whatever, and I think it was Karen. She was unpacking it and she pulled out the receipt. She's like, "They forgot to put the chicken fingers in here." I was like, "Oh, no, that was my snack on the way home." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was just craving chicken fingers." And there was this kind of moment where I left it at that. But it was just a funny moment of like, I felt caught, and yet I shouldn't feel caught, right? Like, if I want to, nobody said, there wasn't a follow up where it was said like, "Well, why didn't you bring chicken fingers home for everybody?" But I felt like I was caught in that moment. Like I somehow had to justify the reason that I ate chicken fingers in the car and I didn't bring chicken fingers home for everybody. So uh, that's how those two things kind of come up.
See, I totally get that. I totally get that, and it's like, it's just, yeah, it's like, hey, I'm an adult. If I want a cheeseburger as the tax for the drive home, why can't I do that?
Hmm.
I can. I funny. So, like, here's a great example of a fast food kid thing. The one day we got fast food, and this is all thanks to Donald Trump. So here's whether this is good or bad. Thanks, Donnie. We're at McDonald's, and I'm ordering the food for the family, and I get home, and we take the food out of the bags, and everybody's got their meal. their fries and their drink. They look at me and I've got 2 burgers. And they're like, "You didn't get a drink and fries?" I said, "No." They're like, "2 burgers?" I'm like, "These things w I'm like, "I don't want the fries, and we've got lots of drink at home." Like, we've got lots of great pop that I enjoy that we buy from the grocery store, so I don't want one of their drinks. And everybody's just kinda like, "2 burgers?" I'm like, "Yeah, because they're not that big." And then I'm like, "Well, Donald Trump." I tell the story about when he was on his airplane after one of his election victories with his people, and they were eating McDonald's, and all of them had at least 2 burgers with their fries and drink, and I'm like, "Yeah, because grown men might not want just one little burger. It's not enough." So I pulled a Donald Trump, and I'm like, "Well, I don't want the fries and I don't want the drink, but I wanna fill myself up, so I'm gonna get a second burger." But the look on the family's faces of, like, they're all looking at each other like, "That's not a combo, that's like 2 combos." I'm like, "And? I'm an adult."
And
The best part is, like, I'm looking at the kids, I'm like, "We paid for your dinner." Like, there is nowhere in this situation where you should be saying anything except, "Thank you for buying me something to eat," right? My money, my decision, you got something, so I don't understand. It was comical. It was comical. Oh, this is great. Hey, Tyler, welcome. So Tyler Keefe is with us. Tyler says your logic is solid and Roland. America. Yes, yes, Tyler, America. But I got to tell you, Tyler, don't get me started. There's not much for me to say about the US of A these days that are as awesome as I once felt about your country. We're not going to go there, though. Thanks for joining us. Tyler's from Idaho.
Idaho, the tax.
The tax, yeah, the dad tax, mom tax, whatever tax you wanna call it, the adult paying for the food
Hmm.
tax. Oh,
Hmm.
yeah, Tyler's trying to get me riled up. You're just sad because of hockey and baseball. Listen, it happens, Tyler. Us Canadians, we understand there's wins and losses, no biggie. You guys are probably crying more over the baseball since Venezuela kicked your butt. But anyway, it's all good. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, and we go with the flow. Enjoy your win, Tyler. Your wins.
And now on to sports. We
Yeah,
we don't often
we're not
have
we're
that
not
segue. Yeah. Coming up next. Coming up next on the Dakota podcast.
well, we talk about what we want to talk about, right?
That's exactly it. That's
Tyler
exactly it.
says they're making hockey great again. That's hey, if it's good for the sport, Tyler, make it happen. This is strange. This is strange because I went to a hockey game last night in Toronto, and I was actually
Mhm.
cheering for the American team, not the Canadian team. This is like Stranger Things. We're in the upside down. The sport's
Mm.
upside down. So, Chris, is there anything else you wanna drop in on, or what's going
Next
on in
week,
Dakota?
just maybe an updater.
Okay.
I'll have more info on this next week. So I do next Wednesday. I'm doing designate work. So
Designate work, bring it on, baby.
yeah, that was a popper on my calendar. I was just looking at the week ahead. I saw that Wednesday morning. I do designate work. So
Are you looking forward to it?
no,
No.
no, but I'm not. I'm just saying that in kind of like a uh, kind of matter of fact way. It's on the radar. It's on the schedule. I'll tuck my shirt in that day, and
That kills me. That part kills me. I don't wanna tuck
which
my shirt in. You know,
haha.
I'm such an
I have
ass.
shirts that I do. I actually have a few shirts that I have shirts that I do wear out, and then I have the ones that I wear in. So I'll shift to that outfit. So I already have a few that I do tuck in. So I'm okay that way. I don't feel like I'm betraying a style code for myself necessarily, having to sort of dress up. Um, Yeah, keeping it simple.
I,
Keeping it simple.
I don't want to veer too far off, but last year I would help my son's hockey team sometimes. They'd need me on the bench and they wore shirt and tie. And
Mm,
I remember when they said, "Hey, can you help on this day?" I said, "I'm not wearing a shirt and tie." And it was funny because I'm like, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just telling you, I don't want to go there. So, if you want, like, I can wear a button up shirt. I'm not wearing a tie, or I can wear a golf shirt with the collar, like, but I'm not wearing a tie. I'm not doing that. I wear khakis and I'll wear this is what I'll wear. And if you're okay with that, it'll still look good, it'll still look professional. But I'm not wearing dress pants. I'm and the trainer. I'm the guy that might have to go on the ice to help a kid. I'm not. No thanks. I'm not doing that. And the coach was like, "That's fine, no problem. You can wear a button-up shirt or you can wear a golf shirt." I said it'll be black. It'll be all black, so it's not like I'm wearing a yellow friggin' golf shirt underneath my hockey jacket or whatever and look like a fool. I won't do that. They're like, "No, no problem." But it's like one of those things where if somebody were to say to me, "I need you to be designate next week. You should probably tuck your shirt in." That's a recipe for like little role in psychology. The wheels start turning and he's ready to come out and kill somebody. And I'm just like, no, thank you. You have to find somebody else. I'm not doing that. And then it's funny because their response might be, "Are you really giving up this opportunity because of the dress code?" Yeah, I am. Because I'm an adult and I can make that decision. That's all I wanted to say, Chris.
oh, it's absolutely true. Yeah, it's absolutely true. I really don't know. I mean, I have uh, kind of broad understanding of what I'll be doing that day. I found out that the admin they're actually out from meetings, so that's kind of like a level 2 version of doing delegate work. If you
Mhm.
actually don't have any admin in there, um, level 1 is sometimes they're in the building, they're just not available. So you rove the halls and kind of just help out wherever you can. But if they're not there, you're still doing that, roving the halls, dealing with the discipline, communicating with whatever happens to happen, and depending on the teams that are already in place. I think what will be fascinating is that if something does, where I'll be most fascinated about this, because I'm not overstepping or over measuring my actual skill sets at this. Like I've said yes. That's about as deep as my skill set is. I've taken the courses, and that was 5 years ago, but I've done no work expanding into this space to where I have, you know, walk on comfort for this role. I've said yes, I'll keep the ship straight, I'll communicate, I'll answer. The thing that I'll be paying attention to is that if there are certain challenges there that by nature are networked, it's a networked response, as in there's people that are kind of expected to also support these moments.
Mhm.
I'll be fascinated to see how they support the moment. I guess what I mean by that is let's say there's a fire in one of the bathrooms. There's things that I will, well, I don't know what the obvious things are, but my primary thing will be contacting the admin saying, here's what's going on. Documentation, I'll have that kind of going on. I might have to be in the halls, so I'll be on walkie. But there's levels of system that I will have to have my eyes drawn to. Here's the emergency binder, like the admin staff in the office, like when they go into action. I am I'm 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 not eager for anything bad to happen. But in that moment, I know that I'll be watching to see how the team operates, because they're all far more trained to be in the administrative bubble than I am. So I become just a cog in this. You go do this, you go do that, you go do that. I open up a binder, it's going to tell me what I have to do for the most part. With training and time, you become more familiar with those moves. But really, if things do go, and if something happens, I'm always curious to see how that I'm a part of their system, because I have no systems that I'm bringing in. So that'll be interesting. And even me doing investigational, like I have, like I don't have, everything's going to be sort of clumsy. Like because I have no ninja skill in this, in the same way that I do for my own classroom, or doing those lists that I was talking about at the beginning about on the IEP and how frustrating it is. Like I am not going to find $10 in my pocket after this experience that I inadvertently lost. I won't even know to go looking for it. It's just going to be all primary, in my face, experiential learning. So my best case scenario is to be able to next Saturday come back to this table and just share with you broad observational information about being in the role. If there is other stuff to share, I will. But you'll get that. You'll get that before the pod gets that, because we'll definitely be talking before that.
Well, I wish you well as you possibly end up drinking from a fire hose. Maybe not.
Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see what happens, because every day is different, right? You don't know what's going to come your way.
It's truth.
But I'm looking forward to hearing about how that experience goes. For sure.
I will share.
I'm sure you will. I'll share. Anything else you want to drop? That's cool that we got something to look forward to. I thought you were going to tell me you just weren't available next Saturday morning, which is fine.
No. But no, all good. As far as I know, the schedule's still wide open. So
yeah, me too. As far as I know, I should be fine. I should be good. Oh dear. Okay, well, have a great Saturday and enjoy tomorrow as well before the regular routines kick back in for work.
You too, brother.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Thanks, Tyler, for joining us and commenting. Thanks, Gary, for joining us and commenting.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody else who checked us out, we appreciate it. Feel free to come back anytime, send us a message, let us know what you think.
It's true. It's true. Come on back. Drop a comment. Ask a question.
That's it. This was season 9, episode 27, number 375, Decoded Podcast. Have a good one.
Peace, man.